Then skills, this is where we put a pencil in their hand often and ask them to start adding things up or taking it away, doing a process. And then finally, when we reckon they know what they're doing, we give them some problem solving so they can prove that they learnt it or they didn't learn it. You know that all these PowerPoints go up on the wherever Lena's AIZ site is for you later, yeah.
She sent us the first one.
Yeah, the other ones.
We should go up online.
Yeah. Now, if you were going to do 10 lessons on something, on a particular concept, 10 lessons, and that's probably quite a lot on one concept, but if you were, how many, have a talk around your table, how many of each of those would there be, do you reckon? 10 lessons all together and the kids should be through and out the other end. So what would it be? One concept, 9 concepts, half of a skill and a half of an application, 2 applications, 1 skill, whatever the difference is, 7. What would be a nice mix, do you reckon? Say the concept of, I don't know, long multiplication. There you are, pick long multiplication. You're going to do 10 lessons, that would be exhausting, but imagine you were, because 10's a nice number to work with. What, out of the 10, what number would be concept lessons? What would be skills lessons, and what do you reckon would be application lessons? Have a talk for a few minutes and see if you can get an agreement. No, this table hasn't come to a decision. This table says too hard. Is that right?
It is.
Too hard? Here it is, long multiplication. There's the concept, long multiplication. Could you come up with an answer? No? What do you think? Do you come up with an answer? Yeah. How few? When do we get into like full problem solving in that 10 lesson series? Halfway through? Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. I haven't got, there's no absolutely correct answer here. It's just what I'm doing here is exposing you to the thinking that teachers should be having before they just bung long multiplication up and now let's go to Nelson and get 5 lessons so that, we'll have something to put in the document. Here's what textbooks typically have. 1 of concept, then the kids do 8 skills, where they just keep doing those, pages and pages of algorithm, and then 1 little problem solving tacked in at the end. Now, if I were to say to you, that's what you should do, how would you feel about that? Okay, so we're somewhere on the right page, aren't we? Are some people sitting there thinking, that's an excellent thing, I'm going to do 181? Because you're in the wrong room, go down to literacy. So, your teachers could do worse and think, okay, if they do that, term 1 we're going to do addition, term 2 we're going to do subtraction, term 3 we're going to do multiplication, term 4 we're going to do division, all right. So if you're going to do long multiplication, we're going to do multiplication in term 3, how many of the lessons, if you're going to do a series of whatever it is, how many of them will be application, how many will be skills, and how many concept? This conversation will at least put on the page for teachers as well that there must be some problem solving. You don't learn all the skills and then never get to go out and play the game. There's no point. You have to, at some stage, be asked to put the stuff into practice, and one putting into practice isn't going to do it. Okay, what did I want to do now? I want to go on and have a look at the third one. Now, if you're a school that was raised, the numeracy was raised on the early years model, and there's lots of schools who looked into the early years and thought that's so fantastic, we're going to do that right across the whole school. You may have this, not necessarily mixed media, but we're going to use that example, those rotational groups that may or may not be a good thing. I've been in a school where the principal has insisted that there will be 4 rotational groups, whether it's needed or not, for every lesson, and that freaked me out. So this is kind of what and there are adaptations on it, but this is what the mixed media model looks like, based on the premise that there's at least 4 different learning styles and the kids should be exposed to those. Everybody begins with a 1 lesson whole class teacher instruction, so that would probably be the building conceptual understanding and maybe a tiny smattering of skills in there as well. So we all start together. Then one group of kids, so that's lesson 1. For lesson 2, we begin the rotations. So during lesson 2, we've split up now into 3 groups. Lesson 1 is over here doing some kind of activity. It could be task centre stuff, it could be a Maths 300 challenge, it'll probably be a hands-on kind of thing over there that they're doing that's related to that lesson we did yesterday as a whole class.
Sorry, so they're not using the whole model in one lesson?
No, they're using the rotated groups though. Yeah. Okay, then we've got a second group is over there on, and I've put mathletics in here because ICT these days in the maths classroom tends to bring out mathletics everywhere you go. So there's a group over there doing mathletics. And that's not to say, now I'm just feeding through your idea, that's not to say that at the start of each of these 3 lessons that as a teacher I may not have started with a bit of a, and what did we learn yesterday? Yeah, that's right, yeah. Yeah, that's right, yeah. So the kids break off into these 3 groups after perhaps what the teacher's done at the start, and then there's another group of kids out there working on working independently, and they're doing a worksheet or a textbook or something that is practice of skill. So we've got one group is doing investigative stuff with concrete material, one group is on the computer doing mathletics, and one group is working on worksheets and textbooks. There is an issue with this if we know that we're doing 5 lessons a week, because what I'm talking about there's only 4 lessons happening in the week, 1 whole class one, and then the kids get on 1 lesson to rotate to the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th. So the 5th one you could put in, I don't know, whatever happens there. The teacher may decide that's the week, that's the day that we're going to do data, or that's the day we're going to do something totally not connected to whatever that first whole class lesson is. Now, what did I want to ask you about this? Whoops, why isn't that there? The question is here, because I've been with teachers who say, oh yes, I differentiate the work. The kids are moving around doing different activities all around the room. When you peep in, it is differentiated. The kids are doing different stuff. Is this work differentiated?